SAT prep course for a summer, and I also enrolled in the Gateway program, which is like the complete admissions package helping like colleges and writing all the essays for those. Basically, my counselor helped me pick out the 5 colleges that she was going to help me write essays for, and then like start brainstorming a plan for other colleges as well, but I would use essays, like the 5 essays to go off of for the rest of the colleges. And basically it was like editing essays and brainstorming ideas and polishing up all of the important parts of the application along with the Common App itself. It was really great. It was a lot of really detailed comments that were really specific in terms of reorganizing the essay for the better and for making the essay come out well in terms of selection of word choice and presenting myself in the best possible light and keeping everything, saying everything that I wanted, but keeping it succinct enough to fit in that limit that exists. It was basically talking about what the plan was, how or which schools I was gonna apply to, and how making a plan to tackle all the schools in the Gateway package, and then that would help me create my own plan for finishing up the rest of the schools I was gonna apply to. All the rest of the meetings were assigning parts of the essays to work on and getting them done. And then coming back and editing and saying, oh, this doesn't really work, we need to rethink this, or oh, we need to restructure this, and having a discussion about how that would look like if I didn't really know where to go at that point. I think the most helpful thing was definitely all the essay editing. It was just a lot of effort from the counselor's part, the special specialist part, to make that really well put together, because there was just so much effort in terms of making it sound really great, as well as keeping everything that I wanted and working with my vision along with the vision of what is known to work.
Yeah, so keeping it like successful, but your version of successful.
My SAT score was 2030.
And what sort of prep did you do?
So I did SAT prep with the Gateway Academy, and then by myself I would practice at home. Basically, when I came to the Gateway Academy, we would have a lot of practice tests, and we went through a lot of rigorous training in terms of every subject. My final SAT score was 2200. I really like that it's a very helpful environment in terms of like the Berkeley Academy really cares about keeping true to a student and working with their strengths and their weaknesses and being like, okay, here's where you need to improve on, and here's a plan for how you can take the most out of what we give you and move forward, and also like be realistic about certain goals, but keep in mind that everyone can have like certain aspirations and be able to work with those as well. I applied to Duke, Johns Hopkins, Cornell, UT Austin, Emory University. I applied to Brown, Rice, Princeton, University of Minnesota, Tufts, Case Western, and Carleton. I got into Duke, Emory, Johns Hopkins, Cornell, University of Texas, University of Minnesota. I think definitely my essay was one of the strongest parts, as well as like how I was able to present myself in the Common App. Because when I talked to one of the people who was integral in admitting me to these schools, or to one of these schools, he said that the contrast of my interests, like me being well-rounded, having research experience in sciences, but also loving writing and poetry and having this diverse interest in humanities, was really something that stood out to him, and he therefore pushed for me to be accepted. I'll be majoring in biology. At this point, I have to get a PhD, so after undergraduate I'll be applying for PhD programs. and I'd like to become a scientist and professor, so I'd like to get a professorship at university. My main extracurriculars were Science Olympiad, basically competing in different science events. And then I also did iGEM, which is International Genetically Engineered Machine. It was a competition started by MIT in order to integrate biology and engineering, like making synthetic systems. So that was kind of a club I founded and helped to build from the ground up, I guess, at the school. And those were the main two. I also did Red Cross Club. I'm currently president of Red Cross Club. And then I also became service chair for National Honor Society. Mostly the fact that I really want to continue my research and do a lot of great things in research. I want to, maybe cliche, but change the world and advance knowledge in terms of cancer, because that's something that's been a part of my life in terms of people it's affected. And I know that in order to get to that point, I need to be successful in my academics, to get to a competitive position, and to get to the people who can help me make my goals and aspirations come true. Never be too afraid to apply to a school that you think is way out of your reach, because I was very much not the typical candidate for a lot of these schools. I did not get a perfect SAT score, and I did not have even straight A's in high school, but I was still able to shine through my extracurricular activities and through the help of people in my Common App essay and my other essays to show passion and integration of two key factors in my life that made me stand out and push through those quantitative barriers. So no matter how dismal it may seem at first, at least apply to several key schools you really love but think that you have no chance to get into. I guess how difficult it would be to finalize an essay, because you go for so many drafts and you're like, okay, this is the one, but then keep on mulling it over in your head, and you kind of wish you started earlier, but then it might not even help because you still be mulling it over. So it's just this circular thing that I wish I would have known and could have let go of earlier, because I ended up being really stressed out at that time. For my main Common App essay, I wrote about my background and how that's influenced me to go into research. So I wrote heavily about me growing up in Russia partially, and my home life, and how those experiences, the hardships that I did face, kind of inspired me, along with one of my friends actually being diagnosed with cancer, to move forward and reach for becoming involved in cancer research. And so I think that was very well-rounded picture of me, and I think that was probably one of the strongest points, because without that, there was very little to see like what my personality was. It was because all of these hardships had shaped me, and this is why I went into research. It wasn't for the resume, it was for like my own desire to against all the things I had seen, I guess. But along with that, other essays I wrote were about, like for Duke, one of the essays was about like what kind of culture can you bring, and I used part of an essay I got help with from the Gateway package that was for Rice originally, and it was about like Russian dance and how I loved Russian dance and how I could bring that experience to Duke, and so I reused part of that for the Duke essay, and that worked quite well as well, because I think they liked seeing that really well-rounded experience and embracing one's culture and taking on the best parts of it. I'm really grateful for all the help that the Gateway package and Berkeley Academy has provided for me. I never would have been able to position myself well enough for these schools the way I was before I started the program, and definitely this academy helped my dreams come true. So.